say or not say.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get into it. We're going to get all of it.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. You guys let me know when we're speeding. I'm going to do a soft intro, and then I'll turn to you, okay? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are rolling into another episode of the Candace Owens Show. There is a meme that I love about COVID-19. Is a patient going to their doctor, and they ask the doctor, "Doctor, how long will these lockdowns last?" To which the doctor replies, "How am I supposed to know? I'm a doctor, not a politician." And I thought that was so hilarious and spot on given everything we have seen with COVID-19. It seems that this virus is quite political, quite divisive, and interesting because you would think that we'd be allowed to hear more than one perspective from a doctor. It doesn't matter what you have, you're allowed to see another doctor for a different opinion. But what has been so unique about COVID-19 is that we have seen doctors censored, doctors shut down, doctors libeled, doctors smeared for having the wrong opinion. I have one such doctor with me today, Dr. Stella Immanuel, a physician in Texas. Welcome to the Candace Owens Show.
Thank you, Candace, for having me. I'm really honored to be here, and I love you, so I think we're going to have fun.
I think we will.
Yes.
I remember seeing this video, and I'm just trying to jog the memory of my viewers. There was a video that went absolutely viral, and it was right around the time where no one was allowed to go against the mainstream narrative, and we're all going to die from COVID-19, and they're acting like this is the bubonic plague, and there was a coalition of doctors standing and talking about their experiences actually treating COVID-19 patients, of which you sort of led the charge and said that you were having a tremendous amount of success treating patients with hydroxychloroquine. And wow.
Yeah, that was a watershed moment.
It was a watershed moment.
Because basically before then, everybody, I would say the whole world was locked down in fear. The whole world, because in the history of viral videos, initially when we started out, it was like doctors, and then very soon they practically just clipped my clip and kept showing it over and over, and Facebook jumped on it, was taking it down, Twitter was taking it down, YouTube was taking it down. The more they took it down, the more viral it went.
But that was the thing. It's like I hadn't even thought to watch the video. And then because it was censored, and I thought to myself, why would doctors be censored?
Yes.
I went to then go pursue the video, and people were emailing it around too. So forget the social media.
It
was going viral. Other, Yeah, watch this.
WhatsApp,
they've taken this down.
They were taking it down. It was an amazing moment. But let me kind of say how it built up to that. I trained. I'm from Cameroon, West Africa. I've been in this country for close to about 28 years. I trained in Nigeria. Calabar, University of Calabar. I took care of patients with, we use hydroxychloroquine, mefloquine, camoquine. We use most of the quines. We gave them to pregnant women, to children, to babies, to old people. So these are things that I'm used to. In fact, back home, our parents used to give it to us, as we call it Sunday medicine. Every West African would know what I mean when they hear Sunday medicine.
Sunday medicine.
Sunday medicine. We took it for malaria. So we took it for malaria prophylaxis, and everybody took it on Sunday. My parents right now, they are in their late 70s. They are actually they've been taking it they've been taking flavoquine for years, just to prevent malaria. So it was something that I was used to. It wasn't something that just came out of the rabbit hole. So because some people like, well, the girl just thought about hydroxychloroquine and jumped on it. But so when COVID started, I was in Texas. I mean, my career kind of went all over the place. I did general medicine in Africa. When I came here, the first residency I got into was pediatrics, so I did pediatrics. But when I finished my residency in pediatrics in New York, Bronx, Lebanon, I moved to Louisiana, and I opened a pediatric practice. And then I started working in the emergency room, keeping my general practice skills, not just keeping general practice skills, becoming really skilled in taking care of urgently sick patients. So I've been doing that for years. In fact, for the past 4 years, I actually stopped clinic practice, and I just did ER for about 3 years. About this time last year, I opened the practice in Texas. And I think that, I'm also, I'm a preacher, so everything in my life is kind of planned. People think I just showed up. I didn't just show up.
Well, I don't think
I've been fighting this battle.
You can't just show up to be a doctor. So any idea that you came out of nowhere,
yes,
I mean, it is not easy to become a doctor. Yes. It's certainly not easy when you're starting your career in Cameroon, Africa,
tell me
and
about
then
it.
coming into America. Not a very easy transition.
Yes.
You've got so many barriers ahead of you. You come to this country, you do your residency, you do the right thing. It's not so any person pretending you came out of nowhere
Yes,
apparently
and then
has.
people are like, "Oh no, she's not a real doctor because she has an accent." I say, "Yeah."
And that's not funny, right?
No,
I mean,
don't worry. I just told them that's okay. I downloaded my certificate offline.
Yeah.
I was like, that's true. I'm not a doctor. I just downloaded it online or something. Or I play one on TV. Y'all just back off.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot. So, and then of course, on the spiritual side, I've actually been praying and fighting for America. If people look back at messages I've preached 5 years ago, I'm talking about messages like, fighting for the soul of America. We've been praying for this nation for years. We didn't just show up.
When you say we've been praying for this
Our
nation.
ministry. I'm a pastor of Firepower Ministry, and our ministry members are like all over the nation, all over the country. We have a prayer line that we've run for like 12 years every night. We've run that prayer line every single night for 12 years. Wow. And we've been praying for the nation. We've been standing in the gap, you understand? So when this happened, it happened because it was planned. You know how it is that you've been preparing all your life for something, and then when it drops, everybody's like, oh my God, where did you come from? I've been trained for this. I've been prepared for this. When I told people that, I had an interview, they're like, oh my God, they're going to come after you. I said, no, they won't. I'm God's battle axe and weapon of war. I'm trained for this.
Right.
I didn't just show up. I'm not scared of any of this people. I'm not scared of this diabolic
and
people.
I also do want to point out the fact, and I always say this, is just the difference in the fear factor that I think we Americans have, which is perhaps due to just the remarkable privilege that we're afforded in this country versus going to an African country and seeing what people have to deal with. Like you said, we've taken malaria pills since we were children. I mean, the diseases are rampant there, right?
Yes,
and so the idea that you would buck and be fearful when you hear about COVID-19, you're like, I'm prepared for this moment.
Exactly.
I'm ready to fight.
And a lot of doctors in America are kind of scared, of course, because everywhere here is hyper specialized. Everybody's hyper specialized, and then a lot of the doctors that are saying that, oh, this doesn't work, they all have like exotic specialties like plastic surgery and dermatology. They don't see patients. They don't see COVID patients. They've never seen any. So of course they are scared. They hear the narrative of, oh, this medication will kill you, and then they are scared. But hydroxychloroquine is like one of the most I would say it's one of the most safest medications.
Yeah, now let me, and I'm pulling this from a book I read a while ago, but this is the origins of hydroxychloroquine. It comes from the bark, right, in the Amazon. And they used this literally, actually, when colonialists were trying to get into Africa and they were dying, thousands of them kept dying because they kept catching malaria. They eventually discovered in this bark that they could take this and it would make them immune to malaria. So this has been around for
around forever.
Very, very, very long time.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was kind of a little puzzling to me. I remember my mom telling me, is chloroquine now different in America? Because I hear they say it's dangerous. Is that not the same thing we've been taking here for a long time? So we had all this going on. So when COVID hit, I was in Texas in February. About a good maybe 15 to 20% of my patients come from the Middle East, And we were all scared. If you see the videos we did earlier, we looked like people from space. We had the spaceship thing going on, PPE, white suits. We got the Tyvek suits, everything. We had everything. We were prepared not to get this disease. And then a pharmacist called me and told me that, they're using hydroxychloroquine in Europe. And we're getting news coming out of China that they're using it. I said, okay, wow, that's amazing because we know this drug. So, of course, I went to dig a little further. Found out that there was an article in 2005 that was written under Anthony Fauci that this medication works. It not only works, it also, the mechanism of action, it prevents viral uptake.
Hold on, sorry. I want to go back to that. You're saying that you went back and you found an article from Dr. Anthony Fauci.
It was from the NIH. Under Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Under Dr. Anthony Fauci from the NIH saying this drug, hydroxychloroquine, works.
Yes.
Works to do what?
Works for COVID.
It was COVID.
Like SARS-CoV.
Wow.
Not only did it work very well, in fact, there was an article he himself said it actually worked both as a treatment and a vaccine because, number one, it stops the uptake of the virus. It stops replication. And it stops. It opens zinc channels and allows zinc to come into the channel. So
and why am I just hearing about this? That would seem like some really big breaking mainstream media news.
Yes,
why am I just hearing about this?
Because they don't want anybody to know.
Okay.
So of course, I went and dug into there's actually an article on the Harrison Book of Medicine. I've forgotten what edition it was. and it was actually the whole mechanism of action of chloroquine was in there on SARS-CoV and on coronaviruses. And sometimes you say this is novel virus. Virus is not so novel. This is a coronavirus. We've had them around for years.
Right. This is a different strain, but we've had coronaviruses.
The flu is a coronavirus. A lot of the common colds we have is a coronavirus. They are coronaviruses. So when I saw this, I was excited. So, of course, I jumped into it and I started treating patients. I initially just took the malaria dose and tweaked it. So the combination that we use is hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, zinc, vitamin D, and vitamin C. And it was amazing. The results were incredible. If somebody come in within 2 days of being sick and I put them on hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and vitamin C, they got better within like 24 hours and 48 hours.
Wow.
These were like amazing results. Right. So, I mean, it was so amazing. I was so excited. So I went on Facebook and I started talking on our doctor groups. I said, oh my God, I'm using hydroxychloroquine. It's working. The patients are getting better.
So you're being a doctor going, my job is to heal people. I'm using this. I found these articles, that were done on the
under the NIH, yes.
The NIH, not the NHS, the NIH. And here we go. This is amazing. This is great news. I should want to preach this. Everybody should want this. And at the same time, and this was back in the time, actually, when people were very fearful and didn't know answers. Interestingly enough, and I specifically remember this in Nevada, the governor then, after the president says, hydroxychloroquine works, they stop allowing doctors to prescribe it. Mm-hmm. That seems like a very weird thing to do. Yes. Because now, and I'm asking this as a doctor, if let's say I am healthy and I start taking hydroxychloroquine, is anything bad going to happen to me?
Not really. It's actually good for you. It has a lot of protective side effects. Okay. It's not, if you are healthy and you took it, we took it as prophylaxis.
Were we
for
almost,
malaria.
are we low in stock in hydroxychloroquine? Why would a governor step to the plate and say, I'm just going to outright ban this and not allow doctors, even if you're wrong, what's the harm in allowing doctors to try and allowing patients to have this medicine?
When sometimes things happen and people say, well, that's a conspiracy theory. I tell people, even way before President Trump said this, hydroxychloroquine was already controversial. In France, they actually, it used to be over-the-counter in France. They took it off over-the-counter in October, before the coronavirus actually hit. And then in February, they actually made it a Schedule II drug. So it's not that, this is not just about America. Wow. A lot of people think this is about President Trump. It's way deeper. So this used to be
over-the-counter in France.
They took it off.
And when did they do this?
Like in February was actually banned it, so it had to be a Schedule II drug. It needed a doctor's prescription to get it. And of course, they will not let the doctors do it. It wasn't only me. Dr. Rao, a renowned virologist, did a lot of work. This is like a renowned virologist. He did a lot of work, saw a lot of patients. They attacked him. We had Dr. Armstrong, Robin Armstrong, in Texas. The doctor, he took in Texas City, they had about 50-something patients in a nursing home, and he treated them with hydroxychloroquine and Zithromax. And I think out of the 50-something people, just one died. Mm-hmm. So we saw all this. This was like way back in March, April. Mm-hmm. So we were excited. So everybody was like, wow, people that, those things encouraged me. But they attacked him. They vilified him. The bots came after him. I'm thinking to myself, this should have become like the standard of care in every hospital in the nation, in every nursing home in the nation, instead of patients being sent home to die. Mm-hmm. But they vilified him. They attacked him. The bots came after him. And so it became really crazy. Mm-hmm. So the more I spoke up, and they attacked me. Oh, no, it doesn't work. You should do a randomized, controlled, double-blinded study. I said, no, that's unethical. You don't do a randomized study when people are sick.
And
you don't do
a
double-blinded study
and if I remember this correctly, at the same time that they're saying people shouldn't be touching hydroxychloroquine, at the same time they're saying that when the vaccine comes out, you can take it. There wasn't even a vaccine, created yet, and they were already pushing vaccine. This is going to come, and this is going to be fine, and you should be able to take this. It does seem quite strange.
Yes, it was strange. It is strange.
It is strange.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's something crazy going on, something sinister.
Yeah, and I think that, the people are now asking a lot of these questions. I did a video because I had an asthma attack, and I went to an asthma clinic, and the doctor had my nebulizer in the room. And told me he could not give it to me because of COVID-19 restrictions, and that me breathing would be problematic. So he said he needed to call an ambulance, had the paramedics show up, and the paramedics said, we are, the doctor asked, like, is it okay for us
to give it?
Can you give her the nebulizer in the ambulance? Get into the ambulance. The ambulance said, we are not allowed to give you a nebulizer treatment because of COVID-19 restrictions in the ambulance. So, when you're having an asthma attack, your lungs are closing and closing and closing. And if it wasn't for just, chance I had my car there and the ambulance allowed me to take it in there, I'm thinking how many people are dying
because of that.
Because you're going against your Hippocratic oath and you're telling people you can't help them. They said there was one specialized room that only exists at the hospital where they are allowed to give nebulizer treatments.
And that's so sad.
Crazy.
In our clinic, we give nebulizing treatments.
Because
all my staff are on hydroxychloroquine for prophylaxis.
Right.
We've been seeing patients. We hug them. We talk to them.
Right.
We're living a fear-free life.
Right. And I live a fear-free life as well. And that is now considered extremely controversial. And they will demonize you if you are not living your life in fear and you see your family and you see your friends. Yes. I mean, especially me, how dare you put your baby at risk? And I'm going, can someone show me the statistics of babies that are dying of COVID-19?
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Right. And so this is very interesting. So I want to talk about sort of what happened to you, because the interesting thing is that you're from Cameroon, right? You come to America. You're not in politics, right? So you don't understand what it is when you are in politics, where very quickly they will try to destroy every fiber of your being if you don't say what they like. And if you had remained out of politics, actually, you are the perfect. They would put you on a platform. You're an immigrant. You're Black.
You're female.
You're a woman.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You're a doctor now. You've worked hard. This is like Dr. Stella Immanuel, here she is. We love her.
Yes.
But you say something and don't realize it's political. You say hydroxychloroquine works, which puts you in line accidentally with the President of the United States.
And I actually happen to like him.
And all hell breaks
so that
loose.
was really, really crazy.
Right.
And he was, but as we started fighting online, we started meeting other doctors that we're fighting to. Like, oh, this works. Why don't you want to take care of patients? This was like in March, April. And then by sometime in May, I was like, this is not a science battle. This is a propaganda battle. This is a sinister battle. And so I said, I am done playing nice. You cannot come into a street fight with a suit. So I took off the suit. And I would go after them. I would just attack them too. Like, oh, y'all want people to die. I hear one ER doctor told me, oh, you know what? I don't believe in hydroxychloroquine. I said, tell me what shifts you work, in what hospital you worked at. I can go back in every one of those shifts and tell you how many patients you killed. They were like, oh, you're being mean. I said, I'm being mean to you. The patients you did not treat are dead. So that is how, so I got to a stage where I was like, you know what, this cannot be happening. I'm a minister of the gospel. I cannot know the truth, see people getting well and just keep quiet. I cannot let Americans die. So I got to that, if I perish moment. By the time I got to DC, I was at, if I perish, I perish. I'm just not going to let Americans die. I'm not going to shut the truth down and nobody's going to stop me. If they want to kill me, let them do it. I don't care. So that is where I was when I got to DC.
So this for you was a tremendous act of bravery.
Yes,
it was, I'm ready. This is the truth.
I'm ready for whatever. I'm going to do the truth and
I'm just going to simply tell people what I'm seeing, and this should be okay.
Yes.
And it was not okay.
It was not okay. But it was actually fun.
It was fun.
It was fun, yes.
So you went from being a doctor who would have been celebrated as a Black woman to being called a
names.
Demon sperm doctor was the tag they gave you.
Yes.
And this started with Daily Beast, which is probably one of the loudest propagandists.
Yeah, I actually praised him for exposing our ministry. He did a pretty good job, really sitting down and breaking out everything I do in deliverance ministry.
What's also interesting about that is obviously the Daily Beast, they are very far left, very socialist, very propagandist. And what's very interesting about them, though, is that this is the same publication that routinely refers to Americans as racist, sexist, xenophobic. If you don't believe
what they
believe in, right? They are all about, we want to promote Black women, and if you're from Islam, this should be this should be celebrated. And then they start digging into your spiritual beliefs. Suddenly, this isn't about they're not contesting hydroxychloroquine. They're not contesting anything medical.
Yes.
They're like, let's actually look into her spiritual beliefs.
Yes.
And this is timely right now because with the Amy Coney Barrett, you see they're not asking her
anything about
jurisprudence, about her qualifications. They're going into her Catholic beliefs. They're going into trying to make it sound like she was in a Catholic cult of some sort.
Yeah, and this is good because she's standing her ground.
She's standing her ground, like you stood yours.
I stood my ground. I said, you know what? I would say that CNN basically gave me millions of dollars worth of advertisement, free advertisement.
Free advertising.
You know, when they started breaking down that message and destroying it, it had maybe 175,000 views. Within a week, 750,000 views. People calling me from all over the world. Because this is stuff that I know. So
because it didn't, when I saw the video, I was assuming I was going to see something crazy. It sounded like a doctor who had treated patients and was giving feedback on treating the patients.
Yes.
So really, the firestorm was really just that they had censored this. And you weren't the only doctor. As I said, there were other doctors, another doctor, I believe in California, who came out and said what he was seeing, and YouTube pulled his video down. And of course, it made him, it made the video more viral and more famous, and nobody cared. I mean, I wasn't curious when that doctor in LA and his partner were talking. I didn't say to myself, well, I wonder what he believes in spiritually.
I know, right?
Right. I wonder what he believes in, what scriptures he believes in, and because that has nothing to do with his professional life.
But I think when it comes to my life, all things work together for my good. I could have gone to DC and gone back home and continued being a doctor that talked about hydroxychloroquine, but they went and dug up my ministry. So CNN did a great job exposing my ministry, which is actually needed with all kinds of stuff that's going on in this season.
So you sense a spiritual battle, and I talk about that there. I said that in the opening chapter in my book, that we are in a spiritual battle because
and people
whenever
need what
it's
we
good versus evil, and I 100% agree in your assessment that this is a good versus evil battle, and that what we're seeing is pure evil. You know, as someone who's Christian, I do believe that Satan is the author of lies and deception, and we are seeing our media act like a propagandist arm. They're lying, they're deceiving people, they're making people fearful. And fear is the mechanism through which they're able to control people.
You know, when people are fearful, they lose all sense of reasoning. You know, and like I said, that moment at the Supreme Court when I spoke, I came out and said, you know what, Americans, you don't need to die. There's a treatment. Oh, I cannot say there's a cure anymore. I can only say there's effective treatment. Because Texas board was like, if I say there's a cure, you know, we got this part going on with Texas board, and eventually we settled that, okay, I'm going to say there's effective treatment, and they'll back off and leave me alone. But they are still coming after some other doctors. So when I said this thing on that day, it broke. It's like fear was broken. People had hope. There was a watershed moment. Something broke in the spirit. That's why I say I'd been praying and fasting for this moment. Something broke. That in the history of viral videos, no video ever went that viral, ever, that fast. You know, and it was like worldwide. All the nations, the prison of fear that they had caged the nation broke. So they tried. It's like, of course, you know, it's all this CNN and whatever they are doing, but they can't stop me because I was trained for this.
So what has happened since that moment? Since that going viral, you go back to Texas, and are you still seeing are you seeing more patients?
Yes. We've probably treated over 2,000 patients now.
Wow.
And we've had
So this didn't hurt your career?
Oh no, it actually boosted my career. We got so busy when I got back home. It was so crazy. Reporters were packed in front of my clinic, and patients were calling from all over the place. People were driving 4 hours to come see me. Even now, we're still having so much. I mean, patients leave the emergency room when they go to the emergency room and they don't want to give them people leave the emergency room with low sats and come to my clinic. They shouldn't do that. I'm not an emergency room. But they are coming to my clinic because they are scared of going to the hospital. Our hospitals have become a jail cell of death. People go there and they don't give them the treatment they need. In fact, we've had patients where we've had to get their families fill hydroxychloroquine, sneak it into the hospital to them, and they take it and they get well. While they're just waiting
now
for them.
they're saying you can only get, in certain states, that you can only get hydroxychloroquine if you're at the hospital, which runs.
No, actually, you can get it everywhere.
In certain states, they're saying like you can't even get it with a prescription now. Like this is what I was talking about with Nevada. They had put in place a law where the governor said you can't even get it from a doctor. You now can only get it if a doctor is treating you for COVID-19 and decides to give it to you in the hospital. And I did a video on how crazy. What was the point of that? And I'm forgetting his name.
I know what the point was. They wanted to give hydroxychloroquine at a time when it worked least.
It wouldn't list. It wouldn't work.
Because hydroxychloroquine, from the mechanism of action, works early and as prevention. One thing I want to tell, right now, everybody needs to get on prevention. You know what I'm saying? Because it works early and in prevention. So if America, right now, there is no state there's no state right now where it's banned, technically. You know what I'm saying? So even
No, they just create barriers.
They just create barriers. Yes,
Yeah,
we have pharmacies that will not fill it, but we do have a pharmacy. When we left there, of course, we started seeing a lot of patients. I had patients calling me from all over the country, and right now we have built a network, Frontline MDs. Frontline MDs, you go to frontlinemds.com, a network of doctors nationwide that will take care of patients, that will give hydroxychloroquine in every single state.
Where is that?
Frontlinemds.com.
Frontlinemds.com.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing to have in your medicine cabinet.
Yes. So now, everybody, I think you need to have a little stash of hydroxychloroquine. Right. There is enough.
Right.
There is no shortage. India sent us millions and millions. Tiva and Mylan, they all donated millions.
No shortage, and they're stopping
shortage,
it. And so it's interesting. Like I said, like this used to be something that colonists were just eating bark. And taking it and going in, eating bark, right? And now you can't even get it behind the counter. Now in certain states you can't even get it. I think his name is Governor Jay Inslee, who then said you can't even get it, from a doctor prescription. Now you need to get into the hospital, and these barriers. Going back to me saying having the asthma attack and saying you must go to the hospital to get something that is so simple, nebulizer treatment.
People have died because of that.
That's what I'm thinking, and so I think of that, and the question that I always ask myself is, first and foremost, didn't you guys tell us the hospitals were overwhelmed? Now you're sending every person to the hospital, right? Now you're making the hospital the conduit that every single person must go through to get any kind of treatment. What happened to the hospitals are overwhelmed, right? None of this makes any sense.
Yeah, they started with, let's not overwhelm our hospitals. Let's flatten the curve. And then 2 weeks later, they just started moving it. And right now, we don't even know what they're saying anymore. Right now,
like everybody go to the hospital for everything.
Lock down the school, lock down everybody. And I'm saying, America, we don't have to take this. Really, I've told people, I said, the government is not going to be able to do this for us. The masses will have to arise. We've been going around doing rallies, coming around doing rallies and telling people, no, you don't have to take this. The masses have to arise and say, no, we're not going to take this. That's the only way this is going to be stopped. And of course, the other thing we do is prayer. So when we left DC, there are two things we put in place. Number one, I put together the frontlinemds.com so that we can get doctors that want to see patients. A lot of doctors have woken up since we came back from DC. The doctors that want to see patients can be able to see. It's a telehealth company. You know what I'm saying? You can stay here and see somebody on the phone in California, anywhere in the country. We do have a pharmacy too that will ship medications to everybody anywhere in the country, since we have a lot of these big pharmacies that do not want to fill people's prescriptions. So we've put together the pharmacies. We have and then a lot of the mom and pop pharmacies, they're pretty good in taking care of patients. So there is really no ban right now in any state. There's really no shortage right now. Many doctors don't want to do it, and many pharmacists don't want to fill it, but we do have doctors and pharmacists that will fill these prescriptions. The issue right now is that people have been so programmed, people have been so deceived that they don't think they can do it, and some people just think it's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So the programming has worked. So a lot of Americans are dying that is very needless. People don't need to die. It's 2 pills a month, Candace. 2 pills.
2 pills a month. Wow. Where I'm at the point where I just think that there just needs to be, especially now with COVID-19, a more wide-ranging discussion about all medications, and we should all be able to just simply hear different perspectives. I want to be able to hear you and your thoughts, and I want to hear somebody else's thoughts and say, you know what, this person thinks she's wrong, and I want to say these are two doctors who have different opinions, and now I can make a decision by myself in a free country as an individual if I want to go with this doctor or this doctor.
Are we still free?
And that's the question.
Because the last time I was like, man, this feels like North Korea or something.
Right, and that's what I think has really been the thing that is starting to scare me, is that I've never seen any type of control like I have seen about the discussion surrounding COVID-19, surrounding the treatment of COVID-19, and surrounding the potential vaccine treatment of COVID-19. America has never been this controlled. It has never been this controlled.
That's why I say that
something sinister.
Something sinister is going on. I'm writing a book right now. It's called Let America Live. And
Let America Live.
Let America Live. And I'm going to be discussing even the deep spiritual things that are going on right now. Because, it's not even just really, they think it's about the American election. It's not. I know sometimes Democrats think that, well, if this goes on, maybe it will help them. They're just being opportunistic. Really, this disease doesn't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican. It's not. This is about humanity. Because if it's about the American election, a friend calls me from the Bahamas. They're locking them down. They're not letting them take hydroxychloroquine. What has that got to do with the American elections? They're doing it in South Africa. They're doing it in Trinidad and Tobago and many other countries. What has that got to do with the American elections? So we need to know these things before we start taking chips that are going to change our humanity, and then we cannot, make it anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? We need to know these things. And I do believe that sometimes things get done in God's timing and sometimes it's not in God's timing. So that is why we're fighting. When I left DC, there are two things that we did. The second thing we did is that we started a prayer program that we've been praying every day. We're doing deep spiritual warfare, 2 hours, 3 hours. We're praying for America, fighting for the soul of this country, fighting that things will be exposed, that the deep, sinister things in the background will be exposed. Because sometimes when things get this crazy, only God can help us. So we're praying, we're fighting for the nation, we're building coalition, we're seeing patients. That's actually just what I've been busy doing. I know a bunch of my other colleagues are traveling all over doing interviews and but I really am just a clinician and I'm a pastor. All I want to do is take care of people.
Right.
I don't want my fellow Americans to die. I don't want people, it hurts my soul when I see people that can't breathe. That's why I say a lot of these people that are talking, they don't see patients. They don't sit there and watch a diabetic come in, a 70-year-old diabetic come into your clinic, sitting and looking at you and thinking, I'm going to die. This is a death sentence. Then you hug them and tell them you're going to be okay. And they are okay. We've seen over 2,000 patients. We've lost 3 patients in over 2,000. It's compared to the numbers on COVID, that is clinically actually insignificant. And the 3 patients that we lost actually refused treatment. Yes, I'm saying we had a 92-year-old that said we treated her. She was getting dehydrated. We said, go to the hospital and get some IV fluid. She's like, nah, I'm not going. I'm going to go to that hospital. They're going to lock me up in there. I'm going to die. I will not see my family. I'm not going. I'm going to stay here and take my chances with me and Jesus. That's what she said. So she refused treatment. We had a 46-year-old that really broke my heart. That day, I actually went on Twitter and said, my heart is broken. Because this young man, 46-year-old, diabetic, had a, sleep apnea, and morbidly obese, was sick, had corona. We started treating him. His oxygen was dropping. We told him, go to the hospital. He refused to go. He was borrowing oxygen for his friend. I said, go to the hospital. I mean, you've been on hydroxychloroquine for 2 days. Please go to the hospital. He refused to go. And he passed away because he's like, no, if I'm going to die, let me die with my family.
Wow.
You do understand what I'm saying? That just breaks your heart. That people are scared to go. Do you know how many people have not gone to the hospital that have other diseases because they are scared? This is so. If we make it out of this and the Lord tarries, they're going to look back at what happened in 2020, and it's going to be very sad for humanity because the things that happened could not even be humanly possible.
Right.
You understand? So how do doctors sit in the hospital? Patients come there. When you have an ear infection, you go to the hospital, they give you antibiotics. They don't tell you go stay home till your eardrums are busted, then you can come back. When you have a urinary tract infection, they don't tell you, oh, no, just go stay home till your bladder is all busted up and your kidneys are about to pack up, and then you come back. We, as doctors, part of our Hippocratic oath is to alleviate pain and suffering. You understand what I'm saying? So why would somebody come to the emergency room that can't breathe, having this disease, and you send them home to come back when they are sick?
And they're being protected, because I asked that to my doctor because he was so scared about how low my oxygen levels were that he called the paramedics. And I said to him, but the treatment is right here in this room. And you're deciding not to give me the treatment that is right here in this room, a nebulizer right here, because the CDC gods told you that if I breathe in this room, you can't have COVID. It. So you'd rather have me die and abide by CDC gods and their guidelines than to treat a patient. To me, I'm not a doctor, but that just would go so against every instinct.
Every human instinct.
Even human instincts. Yes. Yeah, if I saw a person and I could help them, right, and I'm like, right here it is. Here's the vial right here. I know if I give this to this person's dying. I couldn't imagine saying like, sorry, but unfortunately for them, and I do want to defend doctors, and I definitely don't mean to attack mine, they're being told they're going to have their medical license stripped. That's the scary part.
Candace, listen.
They're being told that.
We already You understand? We already became the fall guys. Nobody's coming after anybody's license. Doctors need to wake up. You're going to defend your license over people dying? Wow. I didn't defend my license over people dying. I chose to fight for our people. What are they scared of? They didn't destroy me. Why are they going to destroy you? They didn't destroy Dr. Armstrong. They didn't destroy Dr. Zelenko. Why are they going to destroy you? We took an oath to protect life. So all this issue about doctors are scared of the license, hogwash. How many licenses are they going to come after? Texas board came after me, and I was like, you know what? If you come after me, it's going to be on. I'm going to fight, and blah, blah, blah. So,
yeah.
And they didn't destroy me.
That's right.
Because, it doesn't make any sense to me. So all these things about doctors are scared, no. They're not scared. They're being murderous.
Right. That's a great place to end. I always say, there's no consequence for speaking up if what you're saying is true. And yeah, I'm a big believer in that. And the consequences you can deal with: people mean tweets, calling you names, calling you demon doctor, calling me white supremacist. I can deal with name calling, because to me, the bigger threat is allowing the lie to continue.
Yes.
So I want to commend you for that video, for coming out and saying what you were seeing, which was just simply the truth. And wish you luck. And we wrap every episode by allowing you to leave a 2-minute face message for the world. So you're going to look at that camera and you're going to say whatever you want, whatever is on your heart, and whatever, even though you have been viral before, what you wish every person could hear in this country at this time. Are you ready?
Yes.
On your mark, get set, world. I give you Dr. Stella Immanuel.
Right now, everybody, all I would say is get prophylaxis. Get prophylaxis. Prevention is better than care. There's no reason for you to wait. And if you get sick, early treatment. Get early treatment. Don't wait until you cannot breathe. We can stop this pandemic in its tracks, and pray for the nation, because this is stronger than all of us can handle, and we need God to help us. Thank you.
God bless. That's a wrap. Thank you guys for watching the latest episode of the Candace Owens Show. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. As many of you guys already know, PragerU is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, which means we need your help to keep all of our content free to the public. Please consider making a tax-deductible donation today. I would really appreciate your support.